Chapter 567 to 572. The Speculations of the Strange People in Daze City. The alien group in Tianhai City. After Zhang Yi and Deng Shintong finished communicating, there was no reason for him to stay in Blizzard City. He immediately called Xiao Honglian, Xing Tian, and Chen Jingguan over. The three of them came to Zhang Yi's room, where all the members of Zhang Yi's team were. Zhang Yi pointed to the sofa and said, "Sit down. I should tell you something now." The three of them were confused and sat down opposite Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi stared at them and said with a very serious expression, "I'm going back to Tianhai City soon tonight. If you don't have anything else important, go back with me." The three of them were a little surprised to hear Zhang Yi say this. Xiao Honglian glanced at the sky outside and asked in confusion, "Are you in such a hurry? It's dark now. Can't you wait until tomorrow to go back?" Chen Jingguan is now Zhang Yi's younger brother. After guessing, he asked, "Boss, is it because of those aliens in Daze City?" Chen Jingguan's address surprised everyone. Zhang Yi had not had time to tell anyone about becoming the leader of Qiaoyu Base. Seeing everyone's strange expressions, Zhang Yi said casually, "Oh, let me tell you. Qiaoyu Base is now under my control, and Chen Jingguan is also my subordinate. Just keep it in mind." Zhang Yi said it lightly, but this matter was like a big earthquake for Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian. Chen Jingguan took the initiative to surrender to Zhang Yi, so what should they do in the future? Although they were willing to surrender to Zhang Yi in the past, everyone has selfish motives. Xing Tian and Xiao Honglian more or less want to be the leaders of the base themselves. They can tell which is more comfortable, being someone else's younger brother or being a boss. And Chen Jingguan's approach forced them to consider the situation in the future. Now there are alien organizations in other cities outside that are ready to move, and maybe one day they will invade Tianhai City. Then, Qiaoyu Base has become Zhang Yi's power, and it will definitely get Zhang Yi's protection. But it's hard to say for them. The two of them hesitated in their hearts, considering whether they should learn from Chen Jingguan and do the same. They were undecided for a moment, so they decided to go back and think it over. Zhang Yi ignored their inner thoughts and continued, "I know you are very angry about what those people in Daze City did. I said that the most important thing now is the regional assembly, and everything else should be put aside. Now that the regional assembly is over, we can free up our hands and concentrate on dealing with those guys. Based on the current situation, they have determined that Tianhai City is weak, and the invasion of Tianhai City is a foregone conclusion. And it is very likely that they will take advantage of the time when Jiangnan District is focusing on Linhai City. Let's hurry back and prepare. I have the advantage of local operations." Zhang explained simply and quickly. He had said this to his team before, but this was the first time he told the leaders of the three forces. Chen Jingguan's eyes lit up immediately, and he said happily, "Boss, you're really smart. Make plans first, let them mistakenly think that Tianhai City is weak, and then underestimate the enemy. Then we will spread a big net, wait for them to fall into the trap, and then annihilate them in one fell swoop." Chen Jingguan's eyes became brighter and brighter. "Then everyone will know the strength of Tianhai City, and they will no longer dare to covet us." Smart, really smart. Chen Jingguan is worthy of being the second in command, and his skills and flattery are first class. Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing. This kid, now that he is no longer the leader of Qiaoyu Base, the burden in his heart has become lighter, and he has begun to let himself go again. Some people are born not suitable to be the top leader, probably Chen Jingguan. Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian also showed joy when they heard this. They have been humiliated a lot recently. When the aliens in Daze City saw them, they were full of ridicule, and even the aliens in other cities looked down on them. Because of Zhang Yi's order, the two did not dare to conflict with those people and chose to silently tolerate. Now that Zhang Yi told them to fight back, they were of course happy to vent their anger. Xiao Hong leaned forward and asked excitedly, "Do you have any plan? How do you want us to cooperate?" Zhang Yi said lightly, "Respond to changes with the same attitude." He spread his hands. "We don't know what actions the other party will take. But fighting on our homeland, the time, the place, and the people are all on our side. After each family goes back, do a good job of defense and organize your weapons. Then be vigilant and don't relax for a moment. As for what to do next, it depends on their movements. Zhang Yi has a clear understanding of himself. He is not a Zhuge Liang, who can use strategies to play with the other party. So he must make all preparations solidly and make himself invincible first. At least if a fight really comes, with his current strength, there are few opponents in the entire Jiangnan region. Everyone nodded. In the absence of intelligence on the alien forces in Daze City, this approach is the most stable. Zhang Yi immediately asked everyone to go back and prepare to pack up, and then take a special train back to Tianhai City. Zhu Zheng had said this before, they can leave Blizzard City at any time. But if they want to come again, they must get permission from Blizzard City. Everyone knows that the sooner they go back, the sooner they can prepare for the battle. After all, no one knows when the aliens in Daze City will take action. So everyone went back, summoned their soldiers, and then left the apartment together. Their number is not small, and the movement of leaving naturally cannot be hidden from the aliens in Daze City. Some people are responsible for following them, and after noticing that they left, they immediately reported to the ears of several leaders. After Sun Jiaming got the news, his eyes flickered, and then he sneered. Escape overnight. Is this because they are worried that we will take action against them? What a coward. He looked down on the alien organization in Tianhai City even more. It looks like it's time to act. Tianhai City is rich in resources and should not be occupied by these weak forces. That would be a complete waste. After the beating of Chen Jingguan, Sun Jiaming became famous and is now in high spirits. Almost everyone can see that he will attack Tianhai City, or at least attack the fleet of Chaoyu base. However, he is not as arrogant as he seems. He is rough but meticulous and relatively stable in his heart. Although Tianhai City is weak, only my family will go there. Even if we win, it will be a miserable victory. We have to let other forces cooperate with me on this matter. Thinking of this, Sun Jiaming immediately took out his mobile phone, contacted Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai, and invited them to his place for tea. Chapter 569 to 570, Unifying Tianhai. Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai received the news from Sun Jiaming, and they actually understood what Sun Jiaming was thinking. After Chen Jingguan exposed the current strength of Tianhai City, not only Daze City, but also many cities' alien organizations have been coveting Tianhai City. Everyone wants to find an opportunity to swallow this piece of fat meat. And Daze City, which is just northwest of Tianhai City, can completely take advantage of the water tower to get the moon first and take the lead in entering Tianhai City. However, there are still 3 pounds of nails on a rotten boat. Even if Tianhai City is destroyed, the foundation of several forces cannot be underestimated. For the sake of prudence, it is the wisest way for everyone to join forces to divide it. Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai came to Sun Jiaming's room. Several people are old acquaintances, and Sun Jiaming doesn't bother to be polite with them. You two, the minions of Tianhai City, ran away in the night. I wonder what you think of this piece of fat meat. Gu Hongdai laughed tenderly, but a cunning light flashed in her eyes. We all want to eat this piece of fat meat, so don't hide it. Sun Jiaming, just say what you think.
She
glanced at Chen Liangyu next to her. I guess the 3 of us have the same idea. Chen Liangyu smiled and nodded. Sun Jiaming laughed. Well, I'll say it straight. Tianhai City is obviously a piece of fat meat. We have to act early, otherwise it will be easily taken by others. It's hard for our family to eat this piece of fat meat, so why don't we unite the 3 families? Sun Jiaming sat on the sofa, with one hand on his knee. Although their forces are weak, they also have some outstanding people. For example, Xiao Honglian of Yangxing Base, Xing Tian of Qingpu Base, and Zhang Yi. They should all be strong. It's not good for us to fight to the death. It's easy for others to be the jackals. So, I suggest that the 3 of us put pressure on them together. Let them hand over most of Tianhai City's resources. And we leave them a way out. Anyway, Tianhai City is so big, leaving them a little bit of resources is enough for them to survive. We will seize most of the territory and supplies without bloodshed. Isn't it beautiful? After hearing this, Gu Hongdie's eyes flashed with approval. She nodded. This proposal is indeed good. If it is not necessary, We don't want to start a war easily. It would be best if they are sensible. If they are stubborn, then we will destroy them. The three people had already regarded Tianhai City as something in their pockets during their conversation. This is no wonder. Judging from the number of people coming from Tianhai this time, the power of Tianhai is indeed too weak. Other forces must at least be aliens to come to Blizzard City. And the aliens in Tianhai City have almost died in the war against Yuan Kongya. They even need to bring some ordinary people to make up the numbers. Strictly speaking, the total number of aliens in the entire Tianhai City may be slightly more than that of Sun Jiaming. Chen Liangyu said, "Then let's act as soon as possible, to prevent others from competing for this piece of fat meat." After the three forces finished talking about this, they began to take out the map of Tianhai City and divide up the territory of Tianhai City. Finally, an agreement was reached, and they began to draft letters to send to the leaders of several major forces in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi and others hurriedly left Blizzard City and took the Jiangnan special train back to Tianhai City. After walking out of the Xiamayashan subway station, Zhang Yi told everyone to immediately return to their respective territories and start preparing for defense. Xiao Honglian was somewhat relieved. She looked at Zhang Yi. Chen Jingguan followed Zhang Yi, one step behind him, and seemed to be a loyal subordinate of Zhang Yi. She frowned slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable. She felt that the closeness and distance had been established. According to Zhang Yi's character, if a war broke out, they would most likely be the ones to be sacrificed. She walked up to Zhang Yi and asked eagerly, "If the aliens from Daze City come to kill us, you will come to save us, right?" "Of course," Zhang Yi said with a smile. "Xiao Honglian." She said nothing, because Zhang Yi's answer was too straightforward, which made it seem unreal. Xiao Honglian had dealt with Zhang Yi for so long, and of course she knew what kind of person he was. What he cared about most was always the interests of himself and those around him. Thinking of this, Xiao Honglian made a decision in her heart. She quietly clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and then looked directly into Zhang Yi's eyes in front of everyone. "Zhang Yi, please take over the Yangqing base as well." As soon as these words came out, the scene fell silent. The others looked at Xiao Honglian, then at Zhang Yi. Although this matter was a little surprising to everyone, it was also reasonable. The Yangqing base could no longer withstand a conflict at the level of armed forces. Without Zhang Yi's protection, unless they had been hiding in the underground shelter, they would no longer be able to face the crisis. But in that case, everything they had on the surface would have to be handed over to others. Chen Jing. Guan raised the corner of his mouth and exclaimed, "What a wise choice." He was a little proud. Although everyone joined Zhang Yi, this also requires first come first served. He was the first to join Zhang Yi, so his status must be higher. But his strength is indeed not as good as Xiao Honglian. This scene stunned Xing Tian, who was about to leave not far away. He was dumbfounded. "Good man, there are only a few forces like us in Tianhai City, and now you are all with Zhang Yi. What do you want me to do?" After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and ran to Zhang Yi. "Old Zhang, our Qingpu base will also follow you in the future." Zhang Yi's expression was very calm. He actually didn't have much interest in the forces joining him, because he didn't lack any resources. However, in order to maintain a stable living environment for himself and his team members, Tianhai City must not have turmoil. And the existence of these forces is one of the important factors in maintaining the harmony of Tianhai City. Zhang Yi looked at Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian in front of him and asked calmly, "Do you understand what it takes to do this? Being my little brother means you have to listen to me no matter what you do in the future." A wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Even let you die?" Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian were shocked. It was impossible for them to let them die. But they immediately realized that Zhang Yi was just reminding them that if they surrendered to Zhang Yi, they must obey him unconditionally. To be fair, no one wants this, but the situation is stronger than people. Tianhai City has such attractive resources, which will definitely cause competition from other city forces. Even if Xing Tian and Xiao Honglian are both Delta-level aliens, they can't do anything without the support of forces. Lone wolves are very difficult to survive in the end times. Not everyone is Zhang Yi. Since they have to rely on a force after all, they might as well choose one who knows their roots and inside out. At least, if they rely on Zhang Yi, they can continue to stay in Tianhai City and enjoy a certain amount of power. Chapter 571 to 572. People from Daze City. Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian nodded and agreed to Zhang Yi's request. In the future, we will do whatever you ask us to do. I just hope you can protect the people in our base and let everyone survive, Xiao Honglian said. Xing Tian looked at Zhang Yi. Old Zhang. We used to have a good relationship. You won't treat me badly, right? Zhang Yi smiled. He waved his hand and said, on weekdays, you can just do as usual and wait for my instructions. He didn't say too much. After all, his requirements for the three forces were not high. Besides, no matter how many requirements were put forward, if they really encountered major problems, these guys would also take their own interests as the starting point. Loyalty? It's so funny, that kind of thing doesn't exist. It will only be based on Zhang Yi's strength. Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian nodded, and then left Xiamayashan subway station with their men. Let's go back too. Zhang Yi took out the snowmobile, and everyone took it back to the shelter. The atmosphere along the way was a little bit solemn. After all, the leisurely days passed just like that. If nothing unexpected happens, there will be a conflict with other cities soon. Why do we always have to fight? So tired. Fatty Sue sighed, looking annoyed. This is the general trend. There is nothing we can do about it. Uncle Yu said, the strong prey on the weak. A society without a civilized state follows Darwin's law. We can only hope that the Jiangnan region will establish more comprehensive laws as soon as possible to restrain these forces. Zhang Yi sat in the co-pilot, hugged his arms, listened to the conversation between the two, and said leisurely, after this battle, we will be much more peaceful. His eyes flashed with a faint light. Zhang Yi couldn't treat the humiliation of those guys in Daze City as nothing happened. Kill the chicken to scare the monkey. We need a chicken to set an example for others. This time, I'm going to collapse all their chicken coops. Everyone returned to the shelter, and several women in the family came out to greet them. It wasn't long since Zhang Yi and others left, and nothing happened at home. Everything was as calm as before. But after hearing Zhang Yi and the others talk about their experience in Blizzard City, Zhou Haimei and Yangmi showed helpless expressions on their faces. There's going to be a war again. Why can't we live a good life? Why do we have to fight to the death? I really don't understand what those people are thinking. Zhou Haimei shook her head with a look of regret. It seemed that she was condemning those who did not cherish the good life and had to fight for their lives. Uncle Yu put his arm around her shoulders and comforted her with a smile. Don't worry, no matter how big the problem is, we will take it. You just need to do your own work at home and don't worry about anything else. Zhang Yi sat on the sofa, and everyone gathered in a circle in the living room. Zhang Yi started to arrange tasks directly. Xin, the three forces in Tianhai City have been taken over by me. You will take over their network systems immediately. Through this, we can keep abreast of the movements in various areas of Tianhai City at any time. Yang Xin nodded. Okay, Brother Zhang Yi. In addition to these, I can also try to invade the network systems of other cities. Zhang Yi was stunned for a moment and looked at her with some surprise. Can you do this too? Yang Xin smiled and nodded. In the past, it was because it was unnecessary. Our main opponents were in Tianhai City, but now, the forces threatening our safety have become forces in other cities, so it is necessary to do this. Except for the network of Blizzard City, I dare not touch it casually. Unless the networks of other cities are internal network systems, it will not be difficult for me to crack them. Although in the end of the world, the network system has not completely collapsed. After all, there are 6 major regions, such as national-level transcendent forces, which are maintaining these infrastructures for the national economy and people's livelihood. Most of the forces are inseparable from communication equipment and the central control system. Then they have to rely on the network, and there will be loopholes that Yang Xin will find. Zhang Yi's eyes flashed with light. Then you try to invade the network system of Daze City. I want to get their combat power information, preferably the intelligence of the supernatural powers of the aliens. Yang Xin smiled slightly. Leave this matter to me. Then, Zhang Yi looked at Liu Karen again. Karen, you have come into contact with a lot of things in Blizzard City recently. For example, the black battle suits and building materials. Take it all in, and the most urgent thing is to replicate that battle suit. Zhang Yi was very envious of the training suits in the martial arts arena. It was the first time he saw a suit that could improve a person's basic physical fitness through clothing. It was probably similar to a human exoskeleton, which Zhang Yi had seen on the internet before. However, it was the first time he had seen human exoskeleton technology developed to the level of clothing. With this thing, the overall strength of their team will be greatly improved. Even for a few girls who are not good at fighting, it can provide more life security. Got it. Liu Karen saluted playfully. Zhang Yi looked at Yang Mi again. Your work has to continue. The more supernatural food you store, the better. Yang Mi nodded coquettishly. I know. I haven't slacked off during this period. Zhang Yi nodded approvingly. That's right. Then, it was the preparation work arrangements for others. There was nothing special, just let them be prepared for battle at all times. The next day, Zhang Yi and his team received a letter from Daze City. The messenger drove a snowmobile over, 2 cars, 10 people, all of whom were extraordinary supernaturals. During the previous gathering, they had already seen that the major forces in Tianhai City were headed by Zhang Yi. So the car drove directly to the vicinity of the shelter. At the first time, the shelter's artificial intelligence system issued an alarm to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi saw the 2 black armored snowmobiles through the monitoring. He immediately guessed that these people were from other cities, because he had never seen the logo on the car. Zhang Yi quickly changed into combat uniforms and walked out of the room. Liang Yu and Uncle Yu also dressed neatly and came to Zhang Yi's door. Let's go and see what's going on, Liang Yu said. They are very cautious and stopped 200 meters away from the shelter. Judging from their clothes, they should not be locals. Zhang Yi walked downstairs quickly and said, I know, they should be people from Daze City. Uncle Yu frowned. Are they here to declare wars? Declare wars? Zhang Yi looked back at Uncle Yu with amusement. Have you ever seen anyone who is so martial and tells you in advance when a fight really breaks out? Uncle Yu, who are they? Zhang Yi smiled playfully. They should be here to intimidate us and make us surrender without a fight. Thank you for listening. We'll post more bigger videos. Please subscribe if not already. Thanks.